those signals through the sense of touch. Now,
Yeah.
was it the same kind of thing with the robotic hand, or was it just kind of, say, some sort of buzzing feeling, or that you got back from that sensory
Well,
feedback?
in a way, it was the same kind of thing, but my brain never thought that it was my hand that was getting the signals. It was always quite happy that it was the robot hand, but it was, it made the sense that was appropriate. That as the hand gripped more, so that's the hand gripping more and more. I think our brains are quite clever and quite adaptable in that way, and if they know what's going on, then they go for it.
Then it's,
So
okay.
in a way, it was all a lot easier than we thought, and my hand was able to recognize the signals and how much force that was being applied and understand it.
Yeah, so you're saying is that even though the type of sensory input that was coming through from the hand in New York, that sensory input may not have been the normal sense of touch that your brain is used to. However, your brain was still able to interpret it as a sense of touch and pressure.
Exactly
okay.
that. Yes, exactly. I think our brains clearly make the best sense they can of any signals that come into them. Sometimes they can be fooled horribly, particularly
Sure.
with the visual sense. But in this case, it was making the appropriate sense that this was a robot hand, but it was somehow part of me, and I was able to say I was quite happy with that.
All right. Okay. I just want to pause here for a second to again remind everyone who is viewing the streaming chat this afternoon or evening, wherever you may be in the world, that if you do have a question for Professor Warwick, please go ahead and ask. There's another part of this that also was relatively well publicized, and that is with your wife, you did some sort of interface with sensory perception, correct? Could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, well, you've timed it really well, or because we had a bit of a hang-up the other day trying to make this happen. You've timed it really well because it is the anniversary, June the 10th, 2002.
Okay.
What we did, Irena, my wife, had electrodes pushed into her nervous system by a doctor, 2 electrodes, and in the lab we linked our nervous systems together electrically. So what we actually achieved was telegraphic communication, but directly from nervous system to nervous system. So if normally with a telegraph you will press a key, a button, and the electrical signals resulting from that will go down the wires and then come out in terms of sound, which you understand, or it could be touch. Well, this was without having to press the button. So every time she moved her hand, my brain received an electric pulse. So we did a telegraphic communication for the first time June the 10th, 2002, directly between 2 human nervous systems.
Well, that is interesting. The 6-year anniversary of that. Now,
it is.
Yeah,
yes.
That is very interesting. One thing I wanted to know is how that sensory perception in your wrist, how your brain interpreted that, how that was different, if at all, from the robotic arm.
Well, what we had done, it took 6 weeks, but what we had done, teach my brain to recognize the pulses. Effectively, we had, via the implant, we had taken over some of the nerve fibers that we could use for our purposes. So when we used the robot hand, my brain knew we were using the robot hand. So okay, that's the hand's forcing. When my wife was linked up to it, the signals came in. My brain was quite happy that these were pulses from my wife. My wife's sending me signals.
Oh, okay. Pretty simple then.
So very simpler than we thought. Yeah.
I guess again, it's a very interesting look into the plasticity of the human brain, or the adaptability of the human brain to accept, the different signals that might be coming to it. Now,
yeah, I think so very much.
Sure.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask, of course, is if there is anything currently that you have planned for the near future, any more exciting experiments, whether it be cyborg type experiments or something else to do with cybernetics or artificial intelligence.
Well, I'm involved with 3 experiments, but there are 4 things to talk about. Hopefully you get a bit of time.
Oh, sure.
With the implant experiments, yes, we're heading for just talked about with nervous system to nervous system communication, bringing that about brain to brain. So we are looking with humans for a direct brain to brain communication, and certainly I will be happy to have an implant, not in my nervous system, but this time some position in my brain, and that's really what we're looking at the moment, is where is the best position for bidirectional signaling.
Okay. I just want to stop you for a second and ask you about that experiment. Now, is this going to be an implant, or will it be a kind of one of these encephalograph, these helmets that people put on?
Oh no, it will be an implant.
It will
I think
be.
with G you can get it with what you're describing, the helmet. You can get nice generalized signals and try and using AI to infer signals from those, and a lot of people are having some good success. But
Yeah.
to send signals into the brain and receive signals of high resolution, I think it's an implant that's needed for the moment, anyway.
Oh, that's a little bit more difficult than I would have to imagine.
Oh yeah, I think the key thing is, because there has been work at Brown University with a patient